She can say in her voice, in her way, that she love me. With her eyes, with her smile, with her belt, with her hands, with her money. I am the thesis of her brain.
Hey guys, and welcome back. It is the 8th episode of the A&J Soccer Show.
I can't believe it. Thank you guys so much for the support. It means a lot.
That's wild. But, you know, as always, it's me, Jalen Thompson, to my left.
Andrew Pipers.
And boy, we have a show for y'all. Starts off with the Premier League, and of course, you know, City wins the derby. So, you know, we always got to talk about that. And we're going to go over a bit of Champions League.
Yeah, and then from the Champions League, you know, speaking of that, Cristiano Ronaldo, big time for him. He wins his 5th Ballon d'Or, puts him on level terms with Lionel Messi, and that adds a whole nother dimension to the Messi versus Ronaldo debate. But we'll get there. The first question I have is, you know, this Premier League weekend, lots of big games. I don't know why I'm asking this. Which one was your favorite?
Hey, of course, you know, we're going to have to talk about the City United game. It's huge, man. It's huge that we are now 11 points clear at the top of the table.
Count them.
I mean, the game didn't decide the title race, but it was very, very influential. I mean, there's still a long ways to go, but wow, that really shows City's dominance in the game right now. But yeah, I was very happy with the result. Very entertaining game to watch. Goals were kind of weird, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm passionate about every game that Man City plays in, but this game I was absolutely screaming. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. You know, Guardiola, he's always so animated. I was turning into my own little Guardiola, just throwing my hands everywhere, pretending like I knew what he was doing all the time. But what a game to watch. So yeah, like you said, there were some crazy goals in there. It's funny because both of our goals were, so the first one, David Silva, second one, Otamendi. They were both sort of like scissor kick-esque. Mm-hmm. You know, they're like on the standing foot volleys. And Lukaku sort of had 2 assists for us.
Yeah, Lukaku's the man. I mean, I thought he was going to be big in the game, but I could not have called that he was going to be big on our side. But yeah, I thought that the goals were a bit scrappy. That's why I said they were a bit scrappy, including Man U's goal, which Rashford scores.
Right.
Because Delph kind of hits off his stomach in a very weird way, and Rashford's able to just tap it in. But I think I was also surprised by the way that United came out. At first, they weren't dropping back too deep, which I thought. I mean, I guess I did not expect that, but I thought they were going to play, like I said, the other lower table sides.
Yeah.
So I thought they were going to immediately drop back. But as the half wore on, you could definitely tell that they got more conservative and they started really bringing a lot of players back. I don't think they got more than one chance besides Rashford's goal. So I think City played very, very well in the first half.
Yeah, first half was definitely dominated by City. I think because we went into halftime 1-1, so that was a little bit momentum sort of creeped back to United. But we started the second half really strong, got that early Otamendi goal, and I'm glad we did because the game became a lot more open as time went on.
Yeah.
You know, I know David Silva got a little bit chippy when he fouled Herrera. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah. But you know, I noticed afterwards, like the ref played advantage after he fouled him, and Matic comes up and he just elbows him right in the face, and so they got in a little dispute after that. But
Derby Day, baby, Derby Day.
But that's huge because later in the match, like I think it was like in the 92nd minute, he goes up against De Bruyne, and De Bruyne's down for a while, and everybody thinks he's time wasting. But then you go back and watch the replay, and Matic elbows De Bruyne in the face, and so that's 2 offenses, which technically could be 2 yellow cards, and you know that rules Matic out for a couple games. So I just think it's very interesting that the ref wasn't able to pick up on either one of those.
Sure. I mean, but Derby Day, I love the chippiness of it. I love the passion. The entire stadium was going crazy. United fans couldn't leave fast enough when the game was over, and then City fans were singing a song about parking the bus and how it doesn't work. But I think the crucial moment in that match is Ederson's save on Lukaku from point blank twice. I think he saves it with his face against Lukaku, and then Mata hits the rebound and Ederson gets back up and saves the next shot. And I think that, in previous, like last year, that would have been a goal. Like United would have scored. But there's something about this like magical season for us where we're playing so well and everyone's just connecting. We're like, that didn't go in.
And things are just going our way. Yeah. I can totally agree with that. And I think people are very hard on Lukaku, and I think rightly so because he's trying to become a world-class player. But I think what sets him aside from being or sets him back from being a world-class player is his finishing, and his touches are a bit too big sometimes. But in those big moments, as a United fan, you pay the big bucks for Lukaku, and you see him not being able to score in his own 6. If he would have just tucked it to the far post on the ground, I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020, but it seemed to be a pretty simple finish. But Ederson, awesome to put his body on the line like that. It definitely was one of the most exciting parts of the game. Something interesting happened after the game, actually. Mourinho, a little bit of locker room drama. Mourinho goes and talks to the City players, talking about, he wants them to show a bit more respect in their celebration after the game, and a fight breaks out. Michael Arteta gets his face cut, and all sorts of drama. Apparently, Mourinho gets water and milk. I don't know why milk is there, but milk gets spilled on him. So, I don't know. That's just a pretty good way to end the game, huh? That's just a classic Manchester derby.
Manchester derby, lots of emotions boiling over. Ideally, you hate to see people get hurt over stuff like that, but I think it's good to show the passion that, I think in today's game, a lot of it, you think a lot about players, and not a lot of these players are English, and they're being paid a lot of money, and maybe they don't play for the badge as much as before. But I think incidences like that show that these players still really care as much as the fans do about the passion of the game and the passion of the rivalry. And hopefully, Arteta's fine, and nothing sort of happens after it. But yeah, I didn't realize that happened until they reported it very recently.
Real quick. Yeah. It was very interesting that Aguero didn't step on the pitch, especially because he played very much in the midweek before. So do you have any thoughts on why Guardiola's being so conservative with him?
I think it's a long season. People are really hype about City right now, but I think that's just Guardiola realizing that it's a long season, and this is a big game. Aguero has scored a lot recently, but maybe he just thought Jesus, the way Jesus plays, maybe suited this a little bit better. Jesus is more. He dropped Rojo. Do you remember that? There was a couple step overs and it just destroyed him. Maybe
would have finished that. So sweet.
Maybe he's thinking that type of skillful player is required in a game like this, as opposed to Aguero, who's also extremely skillful but not that Brazilian flair, perhaps. I just think Guardiola realizes how long of a season it is. But you're right. It was interesting that he didn't start. I'm just thinking about the game. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I think, just on my opinion, that subject, I also agree on what you're saying. I think that Aguero has a tendency to get hurt because of the heavy minutes he plays, and I think the fact that we have Jesus is huge because that means we're going to have Aguero for probably most of the season this year. Company got injured in the first half, so we already lost him, and with Aguero being a similar injury-prone player, I think Guardiola's just being smart. I just thought it was interesting that, it's one of the biggest games of the year. Aguero's very experienced in the Manchester derby games. I think this was Jesus' first.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And so it was just a bold move. But obviously, in the end, we get the result, so it pays off.
And you mentioned company getting hurt, which is a bummer. I hate seeing him continually hurt. It seems like he always gets hurt. But Mangala came in, and I was scared again because, Mangala, not the most consistently good player. Great FIFA player, FYI. But, but Mangala played pretty well, I thought. I saw him being athletic, challenging Ibrahimovic, getting up there for the headers. And I was very happy with the way that he played for the time that he was required. He was the one who cleared it off the line after Ederson made those saves. But another quick note about Guardiola and the selection of Jesus that I just want to say real quick. Guardiola has shown a lot of faith in the young players. Jesus, Sané, those are the big name ones, but also you always have a Zinchenko or a Foden or a Diaz. They're always on the bench, and that's sort of refreshing to see, with all these big name players around some of these smaller players, some of these, local, kind of homegrown players.
Yeah,
I feel.
The fact that they get a chance to learn from the big guys, I think it's important. I think that shows that he has a true and genuine interest in developing them instead of just, bringing them along for the ride and loaning them out. I think he eventually does want to use the Diaz's and the Fodens a lot more, but I think he needs to find certain games to get him in and get some experience. And obviously, the Manchester Derby is not going to be one of those games. But yeah, I think I have full trust in Guardiola and what he's doing with the team. It's funny because when you're talking about Mangala, I was watching the game with a friend who loves Manchester United, and he sees Mangala warming up, and he gets so excited. He's like, yes, this is what we need, and
just go to that guy.
and that's throwing some doubt in my head. I'm like, yeah, he didn't have too sharp of a game in the midweek against Shakhtar, so I was a bit worried. But turns out Delph was the person that we kind of needed to be worried about. He had some very, very sketchy passes in the back. He was trying to play a 1-2 with Otamendi on the top of our box. Almost ended up in a goal, and he ends up messing up for their goal. So. I don't think that's going to define Delph's season. I think he's going to bounce back because I think he's been doing pretty well previously. But just funny how we had our doubts about Delph coming into the season, and they're starting to pop up again.
Yeah, not a natural left back, but hopefully he can sort that out. Another big point about the game that we would be remiss not to talk about. There's a notable player absent from the game. That's Paul Pogba. Do you think? I think that if he's playing, it's a different game. United's not as packed in the first half. As much as I'm very happy he didn't play because I realize how good of a player he is. But I feel like if he would have played, there would have been a little bit more sort of end-to-end action. Do you think so?
Yeah, I still think they would have sat back, but their counterattack just gets that much better when you have Pogba leading it, because I think his creative ability is almost better than anyone in the world. So I think his presence there would make the game a bit different, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it would change the way that they played so defensively.
Gotcha. Well, that was the big game of the weekend, the big title, sort of the title race defining game. But there were other games, notably another derby, which was the Merseyside derby between Liverpool and Everton, which was actually rattled with controversy. So basically what happened, Liverpool's dominating the entire game. They're up 1-0 off of a beautiful Mo Salah goal, who we've talked about a lot on the show. But Dominic Calvert, or I think his name's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's like Calvert-Lewin or something. He's from Everton. He goes down after a Liverpool defender puts a hand on him, and Everton gets a penalty. Wayne Rooney scores the penalty, and lots of controversy around it. Was it too soft? So that's been a very big point of discussion. I just think that game was sort of for bragging rights, and I don't know. I think the penalty decision was soft, but I don't know if you got a chance to see it.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was pretty soft. You can see Lovren about to push him, but his arms never fully extend, and it seems like he just creates contact with him, and Lewin feels it, and he kind of just goes down pretty easily. So, I remember the commentator was like, I can't believe the referee is falling for that. It's a bit soft, and especially in a derby game like that, you never want him to see him decided by a penalty in like a very controversial decision like that. So I know Klopp was pretty furious after the game with the reporter who was giving him the post-game interview. He wasn't happy at all about talking about the penalty incident.
Yeah, he wasn't. But I think that type of game, Everton will be happy with the point because they've sort of been sliding in the league, and to get a point against a rival who's admittedly better than you is always big in a special derby. But those were the big games this weekend. Obviously, we're buzzing off of City United, but definitely take note of Liverpool Everton. Just a quick note on some other ones. I think Chelsea Arsenal. Yeah, Chelsea Arsenal. They both dropped points at the weekend also, so that doesn't help their cause and their title race at all. But go ahead.
Actually, speaking of Liverpool, kind of transitioning into the Champions League.
Okay.
Liverpool beat Spartak Moscow 7-0, which is
7. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing.
I didn't know it was 7. I knew it was a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but that kind of shows that Mohamed Salah is actually killing it right now. But the man of the match with that one was Coutinho, who scored a hat trick. But it just shows that Liverpool, they're something to be reckoned with when all their attacking options are available for them.
If they just get a defense, I think they'd be a credible Premier League contender. But their defense is awful. So you can go put 7 past Spartak Moscow from Russia, but if you're going to concede goals against the Burnleys of the world, or the Burnleys of the Premier League, the Bournemouths, you can't do anything with that. So Klopp's gotten a lot of criticism for not bringing in a defender, but I think if they can do that, as shown by this Champions League game, they can just sort of wipe people out of the park. But another not as significant Champions League game, but probably the best Champions League game of the weekend, of midweek, was Real Madrid beating Dortmund. Huge game, I thought. Ronaldo scores an amazing goal. I watched the highlights. I don't know if you saw any more of it.
Yeah, I think the end score was 3-2.
Okay.
And a very, very fun game to watch. I actually was able to watch that alongside the City game, but it was very, very, very much end-to-end stuff. Aubameyang, I think, had 2, and like you said, Ronaldo had 1, and his was very, very nice. So it was a very entertaining game to watch, but it wasn't the most important game because I think they already have a spot in the round 16, and also another game that wasn't necessarily relevant was the City.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that one. That's our first loss. It's sad, but if we're complaining about a meaningless loss, that's a good season. He played the youngsters though, and that's what I'm talking about.
And it's funny because everybody tried to come up and talk some smack to me after the game, like, haha, you finally lost, and of all people, you lose to them, and I'm like, yeah, well. We weren't necessarily. We didn't have our lineup. You could tell where Pep's focus was, and it was definitely in the Manchester derby on the weekend. So he Foden was out there, and it was just a bit of a different lineup. Mangala, Danilo got some minutes. Diaz came in towards the end, but I think Diaz did very, very well.
He was a good player.
Yeah, he was unlucky not to grab one. And Aguero ends up coming off the bench and scores only 1. The final score was 2-1, so it didn't end up doing much. But yeah, I think it was cool to watch the young guys play, but we were struggling. You could tell that there was a lack of chemistry on the field, and you just needed a Silva or De Bruyne to come in and take over the attacking creativity because it kind of looked like we were out of options.
Right. The main worry I had from that game, which didn't turn out to be a problem, was will that defeat turn into 2? Would we let that hurt our confidence for the United game? And luckily we didn't. And I think that mentality of putting what's in the past and not thinking about the future and just thinking about the present, I think that's the mentality of champions, to be able to think about your job on the day. So I was very proud of how they handled that. And just a quick note on the youngsters. Although it was a tough game for them, especially to go to Ukraine where it's freezing, and that's not an easy place to go. You're right. Foden played well, Diaz played well, and I'm forgetting the center back's name, but the young center back.
Adarabio?
Yeah, something like
that.
Yeah, something like that. I think he played well in addition to those young players. But, so just another quick thing I want to say about that Real Madrid game. Dortmund was playing for nothing, and they sort of they showed some heart out there. I thought Real Madrid was going to sweep them. I thought Ronaldo was going to do his thing. And speaking of Ronaldo, he had pretty big weekend. I think it was this weekend. He wins his 5th Ballon d'Or, best player in the world, and that puts him on level terms with Messi in terms of the number of Ballon d'Ors they have. And what do you think that does for the Messi versus Ronaldo debate?
I think one particular thing that comes from that is how important this next World Cup is. For either of them to be able to win one would be huge in advancing the debate, but I think Messi is kind of his time to respond. He definitely sees that. I think the stats were saying that Messi had more goals and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you want to see how influential you are on your team. And I think with Ronaldo winning quite a bit of trophies in the last year, it just made him, he was. Everyone knew that he was going to win the award, so it's not like anyone was really surprised that Messi didn't win. But I think Messi now is going to see that and say, I got to try 10 times harder this year to win some trophies.
Yeah, I think it adds a very interesting aspect because you're right. As of late, Ronaldo's been playing a little bit better than Messi with those trophies, and people in the Messi camp would say it's 5-4, 5 Ballon d'Ors versus 4. But I don't know. I think it helps Ronaldo's cause, but I'll just throw my opinion out there. I'll probably get about half of the people supporting me, half of the people saying I'm wrong. But this is a big debate to get into. Messi versus Ronaldo. For me, I got to go Messi, just because here's my logic. So before you Ronaldo fans kill me, and like maybe you kill me, I don't know your opinion yet. I think Messi is. So I'll start with Ronaldo. He's very athletic and he's very gifted, and he put a lot of work in on the training ground. He's one of the hardest working people, and his skill set reflects that. I just think Messi's got literally something just divine about him. I don't think what he has can be taught. Theoretically, Ronaldo, he's very good at being physical and aggressive, and he can do skills, but I feel like Messi gets around you with sort of a lethal simplicity, if that makes any sense. So that's why I think Messi's better. Love to hear your thoughts on it.
I'm definitely team Messi, but I'd have to say I respect both of them almost equally. I think they're both ridiculous players. I've grown up watching them, so I'm not sure what the game's going to be like without them. But I think that we're very, very lucky to be able to watch them in the form that they're in. So I think we, as much as we get caught up in the debate, I think a lot of us forget to just take a step back and be in awe at their brilliance and the fact that we can watch them play against each other in games, seeing that they're on rival sides. But if I had to go with one, I think Messi is the better player, but out of all the points you brought up, Ronaldo is physical. Ronaldo can change games. I think they're right up there beside each other, which is why we even have to have this debate, There is not necessarily a clear answer, but I'd have to say Messi's fine.
Yeah, and I say Messi now, but I can see myself changing the opinion because this is an ongoing thing. Like you said, if Ronaldo wins the World Cup this summer, who knows? We'd love to hear your thoughts though. There's a lot of Messi people, there's a lot of Ronaldo people, and it's definitely a big debate. I just think sort of a closing question to you guys. We're not going to get into it now because we're running out of time, but who do you guys think is going to be next in line after Messi and Ronaldo to win the Ballon d'Or? I think it's I really don't know. I might give my thoughts on it later, but I really want to throw this one out to you guys. And yeah.
Yeah, if you guys would just put in the comments below, or just let us know your thoughts through Facebook or whatever. Just let us know who you guys think will who wins the Messi Ronaldo debate, and who you guys will think will succeed them in being the one that takes it over. But unfortunately enough, it is that time. It's Christmas break coming up, and that means that me and Andrew will not be able to record in about the next month until we get back to school. So we kind of just want to inform you guys of some of the interesting games coming up over the winter break until we talk to you guys again. We've got next Saturday, Spurs versus City, which will be extremely important for the title race, just because if Spurs drop points to City, that's going to influence how the third and second and fourth places kind of fill out there. But
the best of the losers.
Yeah, exactly. But also there's Liverpool versus Arsenal on the 22nd, right before Christmas. That'll be a good game to sit around the fire. And
my favorite time of year.
And watch that one. But also after in the New Year's in 2018, we're going to bring in the year with Arsenal-Chelsea on January 3rd. And right before Andrew and I will be back, City will play Liverpool on January 14th. So just keep an eye out for those games. They're going to be some pretty interesting results, and should have some pretty big consequences on the Premier League table.
Yeah, so definitely keep an eye on those games. And that's all we got for you guys today. But before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support. This was sort of an idea that we had in a dorm room, the stereotypical college idea, and I think it's just really awesome that we've been able to do it. And from the Davidson students who support us to our families, just a massive thank you, and hopefully we can grow this thing and add more of an audience. But you guys are the best, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it'd be awesome if you guys could let us know some feedback on what we could do better, bringing it into the new year. Any type of different ideas you guys want to see, things you want us to talk about. I know a lot of people have been asking about video, see if we can figure some of that stuff out. But other than that, we really appreciate you guys' time. Until next time, if you guys could just like, subscribe, and comment anything you want to talk about down below. But We'll see you.
Yep. See you guys.
Slowly taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for the whole week. I've been praying for you, you're my Sunday.